Assassin's Creed Shadows had one of the most controversial releases that I can remember, being highly praised and criticized both at the same time. I myself have actually enjoyed my time in the game, but from everything I've seen, not everybody has. Quite a few people are talking about how boring it is, how bloated it is, repetitive many tasks are, and how uninspired the game actually is. Mostly these opinions are coming from people that have played quite a few of the other Assassin's Creed games, in my opinion. I haven't played a single one except for this, and as a first-time entry into the series, for me personally, this has been a fantastic game. A solid 7 out of 10. My review will come out very, very soon about the game, and you guys can see what I have to say about it right there. I won't go too much into it. Mostly I just want to talk about how everybody feels about the game and what everybody's saying about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Let's dive into it. Assassin's Creed Shadows. Set in 16th century feudal Japan, it's been the center of multiple controversies since its announcement. Most notably the inclusion of the Black Samurai Yasuke. The game features Yasuke, a black samurai based on a historical figure who did serve under Oda Nobunaga. While some praise this representation, a lot of others have criticized it, saying it's pandering to diversity initiatives. Ubisoft defended their choice, emphasizing Yasuke's historical significance. Furthermore, promotional videos showed Yasuke destroying a Shinto shrine, leading to the accusations of cultural insensitivity from Japanese officials.
Where Japan is concerned, and there have been a number of occasions where Assassin's Creed Shadows marketing has been called out for being disrespectful towards the Japanese culture. One clip that raised a lot of discussions was this one right here, showing that players can go into Japanese shrines and just destroy elements on the inside, essentially debase it. So officials of the Hitate Hyozu Shrine kind of spoke out and said that not only were they not contacted about this and how they would have refused if they were contacted for permission about this, they also said that they would be quote-unquote taking appropriate action, though we haven't seen any new developments on this front and they didn't specify exactly what taking appropriate action means. But officials were not happy to see their shrine represented that way, seeing it be destructible, and it being potentially something that encourages folks to go in and destroy and or kind of vandalize this shrine.
And in response, Ubisoft released a day one patch, making shrine objects indestructible, reducing bloodshed in sacred areas. Then, there were the developmental delays. Assassin's Creed Shadows experienced multiple delays, initially set for November 2024 and postponed to February 2025, then March 2025. Ubisoft cited the need for additional polishing and insights for previous game launches as reason for these delays. Basically, they had to go fix some stuff based on the controversy with Yasuke and other things leading up to the release of the game. And you can clearly see that there were very, very rushed parts of this game. In my opinion, there were dialogue bits and pieces that were not polished and did not really fit. Also, a few cutscenes you could definitely tell were put together haphazardly and last minute. Not to mention the cultural representation and accuracy accusations. Beyond the protagonist's inclusion, Yasuke, the game faced scrutiny over historical inaccuracies and cultural misrepresentations. Japanese officials and scholars criticized certain elements, leading to petitions and calls for revisions to ensure respectful portrayal of Japanese culture. Many of the complaints I'm seeing about the game are about the repetitive RPG mechanics. The game has been critiqued for predictable mission formats and tedious side quests, primarily designed for leveling up, leading to what can be a monotonous gameplay experience. But as someone who has never played an Assassin's Creed game before, I didn't find this to be an issue. However, I could see this being an issue for people that have played multiple Assassin's Creed games. Let's see what a couple other people had to say about Assassin's Creed Shadow and the RPG mechanics being repetitive.
Adding new options to their skill trees. Not all these events are exciting.
The best way that I can explain my frustration with stuff like this is that it feels a lot to me like it's kind of turning a game into QWOP, where like individual things that you have to do become problematic, but the introduction of these problematic elements that make them more complex doesn't actually add any gameplay. It just makes things more tedious and it makes them take longer. And it makes you have to keep track of more things. It's like slop. Yeah, it's like slop, just like extra padding.
This game was starting to become that because it is so, again, rinse and repeat. And that rinse and repeat really comes not even really from just this game and some of the design issues and the problems I kind of went in depth with in that video, but it's kind of also a buildup of frustration with the last couple of games. And not necessarily because they're not like the old Assassin's Creed games, but because there's so many aspects to them that just felt so kind of frustratingly by the numbers and bloated and drawn out for no reason other than to keep me playing, and maybe even, hopefully, probably Ubisoft probably hoping that maybe I would buy a microtransaction or two along the way while also spending $70.
This is a moment where it's like my impressions are kind of my final thoughts, because I'm not going back to AC Shadows, because I've reviewed games for half my life. I've seen Ubisoft games time in, time out, or reviewed them constantly. I know this song and dance. I will just confidently say, I'm good, y'all. What I mean by all this is that if you like the RPG-style Assassin's Creed games, this is another one. Not much of a shocker there. I want to come from that angle as well. I'm not sitting here like, oh my god, they didn't overhaul every single system in an established franchise. Are you kidding me? I'm just saying that, y'all, if you were hoping this would win you over, if you've played prior Assassin's Creed games and you were hoping this was different, that's not what's happening here. It is very much the same. There is no radical shakeup that is going to bring you back in if you are like me. And while it is almost impossible for Ubisoft to separate themselves from the pressure fans are putting on this game for it to over-deliver or succeed, as an industry commentator, I find that interesting, but as a reviewer, it has no bearing on how I'm scoring the game. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's enough setup. I just want to kind of go into a more free-form conversation on things that stood out to me in Assassin's Creed Shadows and the things that I think could have been done better.
However, I do find that at some point, the gaming experience will become monotonous and repetitive, despite how innovative the game could be. That is the nature of gaming in general. For me personally, I actually really enjoyed my time in the game, like I said, but I really like Legendary Drop's take on this. Listen to what he had to say here.
The game is what I like to refer to as aggressively mid. It's a Trojan horse of a game. It's very pretty. And when you peel back its exterior, there's really just nothing going on inside of it. Nothing at all. And I think a lot of people really expected that to happen. They saw that coming. But to be honest with you, contrary to popular belief, I wanted Assassin's Creed to be good. I want Ubisoft to be good. I want this company and this game to succeed because I've enjoyed it in the past, but I just haven't been able to get into it or play it because of what they've done with it over the years. And Ubisoft has mismanaged themselves into a corner at this point, and I don't think that they can escape. They've compromised too much. They've changed too many things. Their games have lost any real sense of identity, and a new game release isn't going to fix that.
That being said, I do think that there's a couple of key points that we can touch on specifically with the game, and that is that AC Shadows, as you can probably tell, represents a massive investment for Ubisoft. I mean, by all metrics, if you count marketing, if you count the long development cycle, the delays of this game out of its initial release window, this game probably represents somewhere between $350 and $450 million for Ubisoft. It's a massive, massive project. Still, it is a massive, massive investment for Ubisoft, and it's one they are counting on because they've had a number of pretty high-profile flops recently, which are hard to just ignore. Notably, most of these flops were in franchises and IP that were previously considered slam dunks. Almost like if you put something out in that IP, it could not fail no matter how hard you tried. Specifically Star Wars Outlaws, Star Wars being one of the biggest IP in the world, and of course Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. It really didn't do particularly well. Star Wars Outlaws really didn't do particularly well, and even games that Ubisoft has put out recently that were critically acclaimed, like Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which was by most accounts one of the best platformers in recent years, even that game failed to really reach a wider market and turn a profit by most analyst estimations, which is really too bad. It's really sad that a game that was so good, because it was very good, it just didn't connect with people, it didn't sell. And so Ubisoft has pretty much been left to rely on AC Shadows to make up the slack and to try and recoup some of the crazy amounts of money that they've been dumping into these projects.
All this has brought Assassin's Creed Shadows under extreme scrutiny. I feel like this has brought the harshness of the reviews up quite a notch or two. I do feel like a lot of this hate for Ubisoft has caught Assassin's Creed Shadows. I don't feel like it's as bad a game as everybody's saying it is, and I do feel like a lot of the anger directed towards Ubisoft is being taken out on Assassin's Creed Shadows. If we go ahead and look at the Metacritic score, we can see right here that it's ranked at an 81. But the user score is a 5.6. I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that if we come down and look at some of what people are saying, it's a lot of stuff to do with the protagonist Yasuke and the other stuff around the game, not the actual gameplay itself. So like I said, I think a lot of that hate from before the game even came out and a lot of hate towards Ubisoft is why it's getting such a bad score out there in certain places and certain aspects and being talked about poorly. Overall, I think I rank the game at a 6 or a 7 out of 10 personally. Metacritic ranks it slightly higher than that.
Truly? Oh, thank you. I hope it lasts. Take this. It is only right.
As much damage as Ubisoft has done to their reputation lately, and as much money as they've sunken into Assassin's Creed Shadows, this is clearly not going to save Ubisoft at the end of the day, in my opinion.
Very real chance of Ubisoft quite literally splitting. That might sound crazy to you, but believe me, it's actually a well-substantiated thing that we're able to talk about. Now, according to this shareholder letter, Assassin's Creed Shadows should save the company financially. But here's the thing, that is not some boastful letter sent to the shareholders from Ubisoft. Oh no, it is an eviscerating letter sent from shareholders to Ubisoft, and they are not happy. It's alleging secret talks, it announces a protest, it threatens lawsuits. And it all cuts through to a very personal angle. The CEO and founder, Yves Guillemot, has been fending off hostile takeovers for a lot of his recent career, and it's happening to him again, because now he has got shareholders trying to take him out.
All this looks very bad for Ubisoft at the end of the day, and we will see changes from them in the future, I guarantee it. And unfortunately, Assassin's Creed Shadows, I believe, was a little bit caught in the crossfire of all this business. All the damage Ubisoft has done to their reputation, all the money they've sunk into Assassin's Creed Shadows, this franchise over time, the mixed reviews the game is receiving, the fact that it just now has 2 million players apparently, and at least 1 million in sales, shows me that this game is not going to save Ubisoft. Ubisoft is going to have to make major changes at their studio, and in the future, I really believe they are going to. Now, as far as Assassin's Creed Shadows go, I do recommend playing this game. I recommend waiting for a deal on it. And like I said before, I believe it's catching a lot of hate just based on how upset everybody is at Ubisoft and the decisions they've made. Anyways, just wanted to catch you guys up on the news and why everybody hates Assassin's Creed Shadows right now. I'm Lucky, the channel's Game On, we just keep gaming on. Peace.